Hey guys, welcome to today's podcast episode. Today we're joined with Anna. Anna, do you mind just giving us a quick introduction of who you are, what you do, and we can pick it up from there?
Sure. So I'm Anna. I'm an online coach. I work predominantly with corporate women, where we try and link up their performance at work and in life and fitness. So we very much kind of help people not sit on the sidelines when it comes to the corporate world. It's a big, scary world out there. So by using the power of health and fitness, we help women perform better in all aspects of life. So yeah, that's me. I'm from Essex. I'm a crazy dog mum, and yeah, that's about it, really.
Amazing. Perfect. So I guess the easiest way to take this is more kind of start from the beginning. Like, so you got into coaching. Like, what did life look like for you beforehand? Like, how did you make that decision? Because I know a lot of people listening to this be like, Anna's living the dream life. She's got the dog. She's doing what I want to do, kind of thing.
Sorry, it did freeze just there. Are we back?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So okay.
So Anna before, so I worked in sales for about 12 years in the city, and essentially threw myself into the scary world of corporate, a very male dominated environment, and I was just a 20 something year old girl trying to navigate life in the big sort of, shiny world of the corporate space with no confidence, with bad relationship to myself, with a bad relationship with food. So I ended up kind of just really neglecting myself over the years and masking kind of what the real problems were. So I used a lot of like food and alcohol and things like that to really mask how I was feeling, essentially, to the point of complete burnout. Like I burnt myself out in that space. Had a few kind of low moments within my career, and a few kind of things happened that really made me question myself, like a lot. And I thought, right, there must be there's more to this. There's a lot more to life than just kind of waking up every day, getting on the same train, going into the office, feeling like constant anxiety and stress over everything that I'm doing, questioning myself. And that's kind of where it all started. So I come from a corporate background, from a burnt out corporate background, and I really understand sometimes what um kind of how much of your life it takes, in terms of like your career and chasing that next thing, and how important it is to actually look after yourself, which I didn't do. So I missed that part out. And that's why it led me to complete burnout. I also had an experience where my dad, at the very young age of 48, had a heart attack. And again, through overwork and stress and lifestyle choices. And I realized that actually I needed to do something to change it. So that's kind of where it all started off from. So I started getting into fitness myself, got a little bit obsessed with it, like we all do. And I got into it because I wanted to look good. I didn't realize all the other benefits that come with it, how I felt, kind of where it would take me really up until right now today. So I got into it myself, dropped 5 stone, hired a coach, kind of just opened myself to a whole new world of way of living really. And I haven't looked back since. And since then, decided to start my own business and help women that kind of are in that position that I was in, to kind of give them that space to show them that actually we can marry up your health and fitness and living in a body you're really proud of and a career that you really, really love, and are not kind of giving yourself all to this and then leaving yourself behind. So that's kind of where it started. Long shot.
Yeah. So it's almost now you coach the person you was 5 years ago in a way, kind
Yes.
of.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Like, pretty much. I think as women, right, I think it's very important. Again, I only coach women, but what I've kind of noticed over the years is we're very, women strive for perfection, and if it's not perfect, they kind of sit on the sideline until something is perfect, right? For example, if you take, um, if a woman's in the same position for the last 4 or 5 years, she will likely stay in that position for the next 5 6 years, rather than go, okay, well, what's next on the agenda? What do I do next? Because we kind of don't allow ourselves to think that bigger, because we lack confidence. So my prayer comes in and goes, okay, we know that you can do this because you've already pushed yourself to that point. What makes you think you can't do more? So we marry that up with looking after themselves, with a solid structure, with a routine, with accountability, with support, get them to feel really confident in themselves with this routine. And then suddenly they think they can just run through walls. And what happens? They go for their next promotion. They ask for that pay rise. They see a new job advertised and think, actually, I can do this. They go and do it. So that's been quite an epic thing. And again, if I take myself back, I was exactly in those shoes. I wouldn't ask for that pay rise. I wouldn't ask for, I wouldn't look at a new job advertised and go for it. So I was, there was a moment in my work career I was getting made redundant. Our team was getting kind of get rid of within the business, a big company, and my thought process was like, okay, well, I need to now compete against my whole team for the jobs that are within the business still. I'm not going to get it. And I sit back and I think, well, actually, I'm looking at my team, majority of men. So I've kind of questioned myself before I've even put myself through the process because of the lack of confidence. Whereas if I was to do that now, I know what I'm capable of. So I'll go in there and knowing that I'm on a level playing field with everyone, regardless of whether you're man, woman, you've been in the business longer or not, level playing field. Whereas before, I'd feel like I have something to prove. And that scared me at the time. So that's, I think now if I'm kind of in a position to give women that space to build that confidence, everyone's happy.
And you do a very good job at displaying that and actually like communicating it in your content and
Yeah,
in the front end stuff you do. I think also a lot of coaches seem to struggle when it comes to like going outside of that space. You know, you've got calories, you've got training. They seem to struggle to get out of it.
yeah.
Like how do you structure your content? How do you structure things to kind of
So I
get a
struggle with
balance of
that.
both?
Yeah, I struggle with that. I have been told for years, you need to niche down, you need to really kind of get clear on who you want to work with. But the thought of niching down scared me because as most of us will get into this to kind of help people. So we want to help as many people as possible. But it was really hard to come over that fact that actually you can't work with everyone and you can't help everyone. However, the people that you do work with, you can really impact. That's my attitude to it now. So it's structure and content. Again, this is probably going to be my weak spot. I've kind of come around content a little bit more like I post what I feel like I want to post rather than what I feel like I should post. I post things that I feel like if I read back in the day would really help me. And I post things that I know that people will read and that one person might read that and it will resonate with them and it will help them. However, however small, however big it will be. So I don't post now because like, I don't post things where I feel like I need to. I post what I want, things that I know that would have helped me, and things that I know that would help the client that I really want to work with. And that is usually a woman that has to wear plenty of hats day to day, manage her career, manage life, stay sane, and make everything work and still kind of live a life where she's really happy within herself. That's who I talk to. So I guess now content comes a lot easier because I really understand the women I want to work with. And in terms of structure, again, I'm not like your uber organized, polished coach. Like generally, very open about it. There are times where I wing it. There are times where things are very planned out. There are times where things just work out. Like, fine. I do have a a brief structure of kind of what I want to showcase, and each week I want to showcase something within the program. So whether that be a win, whether that be a transformation, whether that would be any kind of anything within that kind of celebrating clients. So I kind of have that umbrella each week. Then I'll have a kind of value post. So offering any kind of tips, hints, and tricks on anything that I think will be valuable for people within my audience. And then also around that, I then share a kind of my own thing. Like I'll share, I'm kind of now getting into running and things like that. So I'll share that to kind of showcase that I'm very much living like sort of practicing what I preach. That's the saying. And I'm always kind of finding ways of challenging myself and kind of leading from the front. So I share that aspect of it. Um, because I think a lot of the time, I feel like clients want to be inspired by you. And you've got to be doing something for clients to be inspired by you. Whether that is kind of prepping for a photo shoot, whether that is training for a marathon. I feel like there's always something that as a coach you need to challenge yourself with to push yourself outside your comfort zone so that you inspire others to do so, and people will want to work with you that way. So that's kind of an overview of like where my content is at. I try not to put too much pressure on it because I have done, and it's not gotten me anywhere. And the content that I don't put much pressure on and really just showcase what I want to showcase lands, and it lands, and it resonates with people. And I've had people on calls actually quote me from a post or from a video that I posted, and the reason why they're on that call with me. So it works. It's just don't overthink it, and don't try and just have like this clear, polished page of the things you feel like you need to post.
And it's a funny one as well. Like with content as well, you can put so much time into, and like I've recently been thinking about this. Like I used to put so much time into having like, the perfect like captions and like the
Yeah,
going through everything, and then people go through it. It's like a 5 second insight of their life, so you probably don't need to spend like
yeah.
perfect every post as much.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, some of my best performing posts are honestly something that I've written off the cuff, edited the video within a minute, and just posted something that I was feeling at the time because it's real, because people relate to it, like, that's just some of my best content. And also just have a bit of fun with it. We had some fun with it on our retreat last month, and filmed a load of different kind of styles of content that I will be sharing as well. Just have fun with it. Like, don't overthink it. Don't try and be too serious, and don't try and like post things, one, for the sake of posting, two, for the things that you feel like you should be posting, because 9 times out of 10 is probably not what you want to be posting.
and it seems like a lot of that comes from sometimes just looking at other coaches, following other coaches, and just
Yeah, yeah,
trying to replicate. You mentioned something there as well in terms of just being the aspirational person that people are trying to achieve. And I don't know if it comes from a place for me, where it came from a place of obsessiveness and like not being able to, what's the right word? Not being able to juggle or do more than one thing like properly. But I've struggled with that a fair bit in terms of like, I can't go all in on business and I can't go
yeah.
all in on training. How do you structure your day? How do you structure things now in terms of having a good blend of both?
Yeah. I think setting boundaries as well is mega important. I was absolutely terrible at it. I am much better. I'm not perfect, but much, much better. I kind of allocate time to myself each day, and I know what days I won't kind of have much time. So, like Monday, Tuesdays, I'm a very busy day on the laptop. What I try and tend to do those days is just essentially get myself outside in the morning, first thing, to just get some like steps in, get some movement in, start my morning off well. And then I know, like, I accept that I'm going to be very much stuck at my laptop all day, responding to messages, doing check-ins, and doing everything else like that. Monday, Tuesdays are very much days like that. So I try and structure like my training and like things like that around those days. So for example, like Wednesday to Sunday tend to be like my days where I have like an allocated time where I'm not rushing to go to the gym, and I will probably set aside a couple of hours because I want to get there. I want to get myself in there. I don't want to stress. I don't want to rush. Like, it's my time. It's time for me. And I guess I've built my business in order to have that level of freedom as well. So if I didn't have that, it's kind of like I might as well say I'm in a 9 to 5. So Monday, Tuesday, I accept. It's just going to be one of those days. I either get a run in because it's, with running, it's very easy to just kind of pop out and do it 25, 30 minutes done. But I normally try and do my training around Wednesday to Sunday in terms of that. Um, any kind of like client calls or catch ups or anything like that, they are always done towards the latter part of the week. So I usually free up like a Friday afternoon and a Thursday afternoon. They tend to be my quiet times around that. Wednesday is very much on the business. Anything that needs doing Wednesday is, I don't do anything client related. It is very much on the business. Um, and that is where I tend to kind of plan out my content. If I'm recording anything, if I if I've got any kind of like business type calls, catch up with the team, things like that, everything gets done on a Wednesday usually. Um, but it's not a rigid structure. Again, like, I know some people will have like, Google calendars that are just planned out to the inch of their life. I can't operate like that because that actually stresses me out more. And it's really strange how my brain works compared to some, because some need that, the color coordination, everything. If I looked at that, that would stress me out. And then I'll get overwhelmed and then I'll start shutting off. So my kind of week is organized to a certain point because I need a little bit of kind of freedom and like sort of fluidity in terms of what that week will look like. That's yeah, I guess that's kind of structure. Again, I'm not a polished, like down to every inch of their life kind of organized person. It's just never been me, and I don't think it will be.
Yeah, and it's really interesting then finding out kind of what works for you from that perspective and
Yeah.
making it work. What are some of the mistakes you found yourself making when you first got in coaching and when you first made that decision? Or like when you first like went all in on coaching, I guess, like what are some of the
Okay.
mistakes you looking back on and you'd be like, ah, why did I
Yeah.
do that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I coached for about 9, 10 months whilst having a full-time job, and then I went all in about 2.5 years ago now. So I went all in. Mistakes wise, I think it's trying to appeal to everyone. Not going to happen. Like I learned the hard way. Um, not being okay with like better periods. I think it's really important because sometimes I think if it, like for example, we're in this perfect spot. I mean, it's not quiet to be honest. It's been mega busy my end, but we know summer, right? This is where seasonal trends come in. We know summer normally around about August tends to dip down a little bit, right? People are kind of like they've got their summer holidays with their kids and everything else like that. People are away. It's being okay and being prepared that things are not just going to be like a constant this or this. Like there will be some dips along the way, and being okay about it and not kind of freaking out and panicking. And then, when you panic, you want to drop your prices. You start to kind of have like this desperate attempt to land a client. It's just being okay with that because those times will happen. They happen to every business, and it's just being like, right, okay, what can I do now whilst it's a little bit quieter that will then set me up for the next few months? Because everything we do now will be kind of coming into fruition in the next couple of months. So everything I'm putting into the business right this moment, I know that I'll probably see those benefits around that September time again. So it's like it's being okay with that. And I think that was a big mistake I made at first. I just panicked, went into panic mode. And that came through on sales calls, that came through on content. I wasn't showing up as I wanted to. So that would be that number one kind of thing to look at when starting out. Again, don't try and speak to everyone. Don't try and appeal to everyone. Think about the person you want to help. And if that person is you from a few years ago, speak to her or him, just keep speaking to her or him. That's literally how I structured my content when I was trying to figure out who I wanted to work with, who was I as a coach. Because when I first started, like Thrive wasn't a thing. I was just a weight loss coach. People came into the program, we helped them lose weight. They were off their merry way, feeling great on their holidays. That's kind of what we did, and we did it really well. As the time went on, there were so many skills that I've built over my career that I was starting to help people with without even thinking I was helping people with, without realizing what was happening. And then I've realized that actually there's a big gap in the market for a coach that can really help someone, not just get into the best shape of their life, but actually let's give you the career to match. Because then what's happening is the investment that they make into us as a program, they're getting that tenfold back from pay rises, promotions, new jobs. So it's like, it's like a really cool kind of circle of like they come into this thing, they do this, boom, they land their promotion, their pay rise, they're feeling good, everything's in a good place. So, but that happened over time. That didn't happen straight away. I didn't have it all figured out. Like half the time, I didn't know what I was doing. And I think I was in a position where people bought into me and bought into my quote unquote journey. I really hate that word, but we're just going to go with it. Um, and got me taking myself through that process and showcasing it and kind of showing like the ups and downs. And people bought into that. So I think that's where that initial buy-in came from, people wanting to be coached by me. And then as time went on, we really just developed it into what we really wanted to help people with.
That's yeah, that's powerful in terms of just I think hearing it from other people as well for people listening could be really powerful in terms of like knowing that like you can get stuck in your own head. I find anyway like when you're like
Yeah,
trying to be a business owner, trying to like do
I
this
still
and
do.
do loads of stuff.
Yeah, you still do, right? Because you do, you try and do everything. You try and do so much. You want to cover this, you want to cover this, you want to do this, you want to do this, and then your brain's already working about the next idea or the next thing that you want to push, like constantly. And the other thing I would say is don't hesitate by actually getting some help. Like the reason why I was able to go all in so quickly after kind of when I decided that this is it, and within 5 6 weeks I think I handed in my notice at work, was because I invested into a mentor. So invested into a mentor, and then and over the last 2.5 years, I've had a few mentors from different kind of areas that I needed kind of help with. So don't be afraid to invest into that. And sometimes, and again, like I've made some crappy investments that didn't really work in my favor, but I've made some epic one. But I've always taken something away from it. That's one thing I'd say. Like I've always taken something away from it. So yeah, I would say don't hesitate by actually reaching out and asking for help and if you really want to go all in on this.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I find like sometimes I say to myself with like mentoring and stuff, I'm like, "Oh, I could have done it myself, but it removes so much of the like emotional intimacy I find, and you're like, I
Yeah,
can just like put my head down and work.
yeah.
Is there anything else you would recommend or suggest for newer coaches listening? They're like, I don't know if I like how do I deal with all of this like anxiety and stress and like how do I stay productive and do the
Mm,
right things? Like I think that's maybe the thoughts and
yeah,
thing and maybe thoughts they might have.
yeah. Again, thoughts I still have. Like a few years in, like there's still areas in my business and in life that I'm still working on. I think if you are one thing that I've done over the last few years that's been a real game changer for me is actually create a community around me of people that relate to what I do. So other coaches, and I've put myself in rooms with people like that. So I would attend events, or if something's going on, I'll make sure I'm there. And so I want to meet people. Like last year, kind of, last year my first event was actually over in Portugal, and it put me in a room of people that I needed to have in my life, and I think just by doing these little things, throwing yourself out there, creating that community, speaking to people, like reach out to people. Like I remember there was a few times I like followed a few coaches online, and I'd send them a few messages. You know what? Actually, I've been thinking about this thing. Like, how do you go about that? Like little things, like I don't know, check-ins, right? How do you do your check-ins? Have you noticed that? What's a good way of? Because we don't know everything. And I think there's a real powerful thing in being able to ask for help and being able to ask the questions and wanting to actually learn something. Because if you go into it thinking that you know everything, like you are screwed. You are screwed. Because I don't know everything. There's still things like I'm still finding out, I'm still learning, but I'm always asking. And I always find someone that I can ask. Whether that would be like something to do with a current client, and I know actually this coach works with these sort of clients a lot of the time, let me just pick her brain because this might help me. So don't be afraid to do that. So yeah, build that community around you. Like I have a very strong community of really good coaches around me now that I can kind of rely on, and we kind of catch up and have these moments where if we are feeling a bit overwhelmed with the task at hand, we talk through it. So that's like a big thing I would say that's been a massive game changer because it can be quite lonely. It is just you and then you talking to your clients. So it can be a lonely place. And then another thing is if you are like just feeling very kind of under everything, kind of just think, right, step back, take 10. Step back, take 10 and go, right, what do I need to do right now? What is that pressing task that needs doing right now? Focus on that and just keep your mind focused on that one thing. Because I try to do this where I try and figure out how I'm going to do everything and then I end up doing nothing. And it's like I need to step back. And it was actually like it this week, funny enough, perfect example. I had this task at hand that I've been putting off for ages, right? I hate admin stuff. So I'm always putting it off and it's really annoying because realistically if I sit down within an hour, it will be done. And anyway, come Wednesday come around, I set myself a task that this is what I'm going to do. My day did not go to plan from the very first thing I did in the morning, and it just threw me off. So I just left it. And now I'm sat here, and today, now I need to do that task today because I cannot let it go to another week. So just step back, think about the thing that needs to be done, and just concentrate and get it done. Because that way you start to feel more in control, you start to reduce your overwhelm, and then you get more done. You're more productive. And then you feel better, and then you feel like you're going to show up better. You tend to show up on your stories a bit better when you're feeling more productive, and like, like when you feel like you got your shit together, you end up coming on your stories. You end up like just having more energy. So yeah, that would be my words of wisdom, I guess.
Yeah, amazing. It can feel like quite counterintuitive that, to be fair, sometimes, especially coming in from like a day 9 to 5, where you're just gonna
Yeah,
throw yourself into doing more and more tasks. And
yeah,
here sometimes it's like taking time away because you like it is a client management, it's like a people thing,
yeah.
a lot of the time. So what would you touched on it a little bit there in terms of tasks, admin, stuff like that. What would you say? Would you be able to kind of condense down maybe like two or three big tasks in your week, in your day, that you would need to do if you wanted to get more clients? Like, what would you do? Would it be different to what you did when you first started? Like, what would be the two to three tasks? Like, obviously, like taking sales calls, but what would get you the sales calls coming in?
Yeah. So again, it depends on what stages people are at, but we have someone in for obviously like lead gen and that aspect of it. And then I'm very much I kind of focus on like I said, my Monday, Tuesday are very much in the business, check-ins, all that stuff. And then everything else beyond that is marketing. So, and then obviously into lead generation. So looking at different ways of lead generation. Obviously, we've got to get a little bit more inventive these days. It's not just a case of posting a before and after and everything and people just coming to you. It's just not how it works. Big focus is on my client fulfillment though, because I have like a real drive for referral, and a lot of the people that join us are referrals. We've got like sisters in the team, we've got best friends, we've got colleagues, and there's a lot of things. Like if I look at my community right now, there is a lot of links between like two or three people, and that is because what we've done is that we have made sure that our client fulfillment is at 100% and then some. So we over deliver because then people talk about us. So then we're getting, like I said, that then that business grows without the need to spend X amount of time in lead gen, paid ads, and everything else like that. Client fulfillment is huge. I always say, and this is something I've learned over the past year, is be a good coach first. Everything else will follow. Don't try and live up to someone or something that you see online. Be a good coach first. What can you do for the clients that you have? Because then the clients that you have, if you think about it, right? Let's just say you've got 10 clients, yeah? If each client gives you a client, you suddenly have 20. And the way you're going to get that is by delivering and over delivering and actually doing what you said you're going to do. So, like, don't feel like you've just got to be out there and just like, sending out like cold DMs. None of that works anymore. Like, you've got to be a lot more warmer. You've got to be willing to actually help people first, like, kind of showcase what you're actually able to do, and then you can kind of nurture them into that. But yeah, so marketing, fulfillment when it comes to client, because we do get a lot of, like I said, a lot of signups through referrals. And what was the other thing? What was the other thing? I've forgotten now. And just having conversations with people. When I speak to people, I don't speak to people with a view of selling to them. I speak to people with a view of how can I help this person today? If something comes up into the chat, how can I help you? That's my thought process. And that means you're able to help that person. You're building that trust with them, you're building that rapport, and then it just goes from there. And sometimes they might jump on a call with you quickly. Sometimes it might be 6 months down the line, but you're building those relationships, which is mega, mega important. I've had people sign up last month that I spoke to, a year ago, because you're just building that relationship. It's just how it works. And it just takes a little bit longer nowadays than just a quick. kind of exchange, like it's not as transactional as it used to be, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what I think. Like lockdown time was probably the easiest time ever. Like people were just like, I don't know what to do.
Mm,
And it's so interesting. I was speaking to someone recently about this, and it's like there's that kind of whole gold mine thing, meme video, motivational picture, and I think so many coaches like starting out, as me included, like they're doing the right things, but if they just did it for longer, just a little bit longer, they'd be
yeah.
there, or like
Yeah.
they'd move forward. Referrals wise, and kind of having that set up, what I think I know the answer to this, but do you have like this special referral message, or is it all just delivering a great product to get people
I honestly don't
referring? How do
know.
you?
I don't have like a set like referral message that gets sent out to clients every so often. Like it has been very organic, um, and it has been a lot of sort of inbound as such as well. Again, it comes from delivering a good service. I think start with that. Whether you've got 2 clients, 20 clients, 40 clients, you need to make sure that you deliver it each time, and you need to stay on top of that. And then when you get to a point where you can't stay on top of that, obviously that's when you look at, hiring help and stuff like that. And that's why we've got another person within our team that helps me with that. From, in terms of having those weekly touch points with our clients and making sure that everyone's kind of doing what they need to be doing, have what they need to have, getting the support that they need from us. And that was just something that I wasn't able to do. If I wanted to, I would have been able to do it, but it would have then stopped me growing the business further. So that's why then I brought in someone to kind of cover that aspect of it. And it's been the best thing ever because we're now able to grow. We're now able to kind of like move the business in the right way. Um, and then the clients are even happier because they've got two heads instead of one, two strong females supporting them and getting them through kind of difficult days. So again, it's it is, I do think, like a huge push on service. And I actually think, and it might be sound controversial, right? But again, this is probably going back to where I was at one point in this coaching bubble. Is I was chasing numbers, and I was like, right, well, I need to hit this number to be classed as a good online coach and to fit in, to be part of the group and stuff. And all it did was actually just burn me out. And I was like, whoa, like I'm now starting to feel the same way I felt back in my corporate career. Like this is not why I did this. And then I completely switched my whole mindset towards I am just going to be the best coach I can be for the clients I have. And then and that was, to be honest, that was like a snowball effect from that. And that is literally every day I focus on being the best coach I can be to my clients, whether that is learning something new, whether that is going out of my way to support them with this, with XYZ. Like we've been doing like interview prepping for our clients. We've been going through CVs. Again, all of this stuff I've been trained in over the years in my career. So I'm utilizing all those skills that I've had to then just to add that kind of added benefit that you won't get from a lot of programs. Actually, I can't see any programs doing what we do in right now. So we've got this real kind of like opportunity here to like create this program that nobody's doing because we've got like me and Lenny have got that skill set to be able to help. Um, yeah, I think first things first is be a good coach. That's all I would say, and it's something that I definitely realized later, and I wish that that was my kind of first point because I was trying to measure up to whatever I was seeing online and this person, that person doing this person doing that, and in actual fact, it doesn't matter because it might make them feel happy, but it doesn't mean it's going to make me feel happy. I know what makes me feel happy, and it's exactly what I'm doing right now. And that's what I'm going with. And then since then, the business has grown off the back of that quite naturally, which has been quite great.
And it might be one of those things as well where some people's brain just ticks more towards numbers and some
Yeah.
towards
Yeah.
human connection and like
Yeah.
that. I don't know or whether the other like element of this.
Yeah, well,
I need
mine
to
did.
research
It
this,
was,
but yeah.
yeah, I was very numbers driven, and because obviously I worked in sales for 12 years, so my whole life was targets, forecasting, figures, stats, deals, closes, all that, new business. That was my life. And it kind of like obviously transpired into this, but what happened was it kind of like clouded what I got into this for. And I had to have like, the work's gone into this to really kind of figure that out. And now we're at a point where I know exactly what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, who I'm doing it for, and I'm just going to continue as I am because it is fulfilling me. It's making me feel happy, and I'm able to wake up every day and do something that I genuinely enjoy and love, and the people I get to work with. That to me is more important than like hitting XYZ. Like that is more important to me.
Yeah, and I think it's exactly what you mentioned at the beginning as well. It's like it puts you in that kind of very much like survival mindset when you're just constantly thinking like I need to hit this number or like the whole like
Yeah,
everything's gonna like
and it
the whole business
shows.
is gonna die.
It shows on calls, it shows in your content, and then all you're doing is you're literally just walking around like a big ball of stress because you feel like it's like I think a lot of coaches feel like they need to hit, the magic, oh, you need to hit the magic 5, the magic 10. There's like these things that people put on these numbers for them to feel like they're a good coach. But for some, like there are coaches out there that want to earn, 5K and that is like life changing for them, right? But now those coaches are now thinking, well, actually, that's that's not good enough. I need to be there in order for me to be, good. And then it causes stress, right? And then
Yeah.
suddenly, like you said, you go into survival mode, and then you don't end up producing any decent content, any good work. You end up slacking with your clients because you're just constantly stressed, and you're overwhelmed. And then that's when things start to go wrong. So it isn't then the industry or the algorithm or, it's just not working for me. It's the fact that you're just operating from like a really stressed like place, and people can feel and see it. And like what, like for example, like I wouldn't want to be coached by someone like that. I want to be inspired by someone like my coach, like the coach I have now, like I look up to. And it's like that's the kind of energy that you need to bring in. Like, then we all have bad days. There were days where I won't go on my stories, or I won't, like yesterday I didn't post. It was just, a very busy day, but I'm not going to sit here and stress over it. It's fine. Like today's another day. And there are days where we will feel a bit crappier, but ultimately you do have to be that person that leads from the front, inspires people, and showcase that, and be a good coach. Like every time someone asks me that, that's always what it goes back to because I learned the hard way. I did learn the hard way, and like I said, it got me to a point where just over 12 months ago, I nearly gave this up. I nearly gave everything up because it was just taking too much of me, and to the point where I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. I was under constant stress, constant anxiety. Like it was, it was horrible. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm out. I am out. And then over like course of a few weeks, I just kind of had a few words with myself, spoke to a few people, like reached out for support, started working with a mentor, and managed to kind of turn it around because I started to focus on the right things. So yeah, that's my little kind of two pence in.
Yeah, yeah, that's so powerful. I don't know if you, one thing it brought up for me actually this conversation so far was like I remember probably was I think sometime last year like I put this kind of big pedestal on like hitting this number like wherever it was and I remember hitting it at one point
Mm,
and like it was just more going for a walk afterwards and like I was like oh like all of these people I'm gonna get like all of these people cheering for me outside all my school bullies like when I was like young are
yeah,
like gonna come in none of that happened I was just like
no,
my day's exactly the same
literally
so it's
exactly
like
the same. Yeah,
yeah
it
you
is.
put
Yeah, it is mad. You do put such a emphasis, don't it, on that, and I think sometimes a lot of us will put our self worth um onto the numbers, onto the figures. Like I hit my biggest month last month. My day's still the same, and in my head I'm like, I've helped more people. That's really cool. That's my full process on it. Everything else is a benefit. Don't I am proud, and I'm mega like happy with how things are going, and I'm proud with where we've taken this program, and where it's going, and the stuff we've got planned. But the day was the same. It was exactly the same. Carried on. No one was outside cheering for me. Like none of
Yeah,
that happened. Like it was the same. Like I had a moment where I was like, oh, yeah, this is. I'm really proud of myself. But then I looked at the community that grew, and I was more focused on being able to help those people. And that's when
Yeah.
I know that I've really worked on that mentality of why I got into into coaching in the first place. So it's a roller coaster, isn't it? Like running your own business is hard. Like it is hard work. I don't care what anyone says. You have to have an element of like crazy in you to throw yourself into this, right? Like when I was handing in my notice, people would say like, "Are you sure?" I wasn't sure. I didn't know where this was going to go, but unless you fully throw yourself into something, you're never going to know. You're never going to find out. And what's the worst that can happen? I'll get another job. I'd like to say I'm pretty like employable. I've got enough skill set to be able to do that, but that wasn't an option for me. That isn't an option for me. So it's a it's a roller coaster, but one you need to be willing to take the highs with the lows, because if you don't have the lows, you don't actually know what is high. So you've got to be able to kind of just handle it. And sometimes you will have little meltdowns. We all do. Like I'm definitely one of the people that have plenty of them, but it's then what you do after. Do you just sit there and have a pity party, or do you just get on with it? Do you just then think about what else can I do? So yeah, that
And it's yeah. And it's that as well, like you mentioned as well. If you do get too caught up on the highs, of anything, like if you do
yeah,
get caught up too much on the highs, then the lows will like just wipe you out.
yeah, they
So
can.
the
Yeah,
uh, you mentioned that a big one, like the a big one for you was just coming in from more of the sales background, the sales role.
yeah,
What would you say, maybe like, did you have any kind of like advantages, any big like things you still take from that in terms of how you've set your business up? Because I think it might be useful for people that maybe haven't come in from that kind of background.
yeah, yeah. So I guess the big advantage I've had is that I'm not afraid to market myself and sell. I'm not afraid to start conversations. I'm not afraid to charge what I charge. And I think again that comes from years of selling kind of high ticket products, and like being in recruitment, for example, like negotiating is like I've always I don't get uncomfortable talking about money because of being in it for 12 years, and we're always negotiating, we're always doing something, rather, we're always selling. um and I think that's been a big advantage for me, because I know that a lot of PTs or coaches, like, they dread the part where they need to kind of go, okay, well, you're interested, but this is how much it costs. And it's like that they start to, they get all, start to get all like hot and sweaty on the call and stuff like that, because they kind of worry about what this person will say, and that rejection, right? I worked in recruitment. I got rejected every day, like it was just part of the process. So I think that is a huge advantage, because I will get no's. I know I do, but I also don't want to work with everyone. Like I said, I don't want to work with everyone, but the people that I do work with, we impact, and that's the difference. So yeah, I guess that's been a big advantage from coming from a sales background. I'm not afraid to kind of just put myself out there and talk about, you know, the investment that people are going to make into the program, and not afraid to have that price point that I have. That is just, I guess it comes quite naturally to me.
Have you ever struggled with that kind of feeling on a sales call, or even before, right? Like when you're like, I don't want to say the price, like,
Yeah.
or like, and how, if you have, how do you kind of get over that?
Yes, I have, and I think it was probably when we go like through a price increase, and then you get that first call once you've decided to do that price increase. I think the biggest one for me was when I went from kind of just doing your average monthly to like upfront payments, that change. And I remember on that first call, I was like, oh my God, what is this person going to say? Like the whole time. But then I thought to myself, oh, if I'm telling myself that it's a negative, I'm putting that out there. The way I'll say it is going to sound negative, and that person's not going to buy into it. So you've got to really kind of believe in what you're able to do to that person, like help that person with. You also got to remember you've got to be in a position to know that you're going to be able to help that person, because sometimes you might get someone on a call that, as much as you'd love to help them, you probably aren't the right coach for them for whatever reason, right? So you've got to really believe that you're going to be able to help them. Mm, and that's how you overcome kind of being okay with then saying, this is the cost. This is how it works. You know, like I don't even think about it anymore. I just say it. Like it's on my screen. I just say it. This is it. This is your options. And then like, that's kind of like, and I think because I say it as just as part of a conversation, suddenly it doesn't become such a big deal. Whereas if you kind of like build it up and build it up and build it up, you're making it a huge deal. So then it starts to become a huge deal in their head. Just roll it off like you would do. Say it. Like I said, you will get no's. That is one thing that we need to get used to. That there are people who are going to say no to you. They're not saying no to you personally. There's probably other reason for it. Don't take it personally. But you will also get people that say yes.
Yeah, and it's a big one because I know like coaches are like the sales is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Um, I hear like I hate sales. I hate the numbers. Like that or the saying the price and stuff because I just sell it via like a
Yeah.
a landing page. But it all comes down to that. And like to me as well, it sounds like for you so much, but there's so much conviction and belief, and like there's so much like so many results you get already for clients that
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
selling like easy.
Yeah. I think, like everyone talks about like imposter syndrome, like what people are going to pay this money for me. Like, and I had those moments. But then what's happened over the years is that I've just proven my doubts wrong. And like I have now got like a bookload of, you know, results and things that we've done for people in various aspects, and not just weight loss, but everything that like things that we've helped people with, right? And I look at that every time if I'm having a little like a doubtful moment of like, can I really do this? Or like, like who am I to charge this, this kind of money for this program? And then I look back and I'm like, well, hang on a sec, we've done this, 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 this. And I sit there and go, you know what, we're really good at what we do. And it's okay to say that. Like, but then I wasn't always in this position. At one point, like I was a new coach, learning kind of how to like help people in different ways. And that's come with like over the last couple of years of building up my own confidence and my own like abilities, my knowledge. And now I know when I know within a few minutes on a call with someone whether or not I am going to be the coach to help them. And when I know I can help them, then we go all in. We go all in. And like, I am so convinced that we're going to get that person to where they want to get to. And I think that comes with time though. I wasn't always like that, but now like I believe that we have one of the best programs going. And I would just say that because I'm not afraid to say it. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. So last two questions for me.
Yeah.
The one of them is that this is kind of the like I guess the okay. So what would you say is kind of one of your big what would you say is kind of some of your biggest or like if you could give one kind of lesson or one big thing to like the Deanna that was in corporate that was considering contemplating quitting and going all in, what would you give her with all the knowledge, all the scars of business and everything like that? What would you give her
Um,
now?
Now, I wish I did it sooner. I did sit on it for a bit too long, where I had people tell me like, do it, like just throw yourself in. So I do wish I did it sooner. But then I say that, but then actually, I then went through all that stuff in the corporate world for a reason. And I guess that reason is to now be able to help people with this similar kind of, issues, problems and stuff. So I say that I wish I kind of went in all in sooner, but maybe probably not because I probably wouldn't have the knowledge and the experience that I have now to then better help my clients. I think, yeah, I would say you've just got to keep going. You've got the way I say it, like, and someone I know is starting a business recently, and she actually said to me like, what would you say to us as starting a business? And that's like in different sectors, and I said you have to go all in. You have to be almost delusional that this is going to work because you have to throw yourself in. Can't go half-heartedly. You can't just expect things to land on your plate. You've got to go all in. So that's what I would say, like to that person back then, go all in, and just throw yourself out there and just see what happens. Take messy action, find out, figure it out along the way, but just go and do it.
Incredible. So many kind of big like lessons and mindset stuff that I
Yeah.
look forward to hearing feedback on. I think for coaches listening as well, like for for coaches listening, especially like more even like female coaches as well in particular, like just like checking out your staff and seeing how you work and like
Yeah.
um even at having that conversation, like I think would be really powerful. So like, where can people find you? Like, what are your best
Yeah.
channels? Like, yeah, where can people find you?
I'm all over Instagram. All over Instagram. If you want to watch some content on running and my dog, I'm joking. It's a mix. It's anna.maria.fitness, and that's Maria with an A, not an E. A few people call me Anna Marie, but it's Maria. Yeah, and I'm always like, feel free to just drop me a message. I am not like I wouldn't say I'm like the best out there. I'm not. However, I'm very good at like what we've created is epic, and I believe in it, and it sells itself. So yeah, always happy to chat to anyone. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to drop me a message. And yeah, just I think just one final thing to say is to just go all in, be yourself, and work with people you actually want to work with. Because otherwise, you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy it.
Amazing. Yeah, the relevant links will be below. And thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, awesome.
Thank you.